Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a double review. This is going to be of the Marvel Legends series, Marvel's Controller Build-A-Figure series, Iron Man Model 70 or the Alex Ross Iron Man, and Blue Marvel. These two were the two I really wanted to get out of the whole wave. Not that the rest are bad looking, but I really want to start off with these two. I just waited for a while because I wasn't really ready to pay the 22 to 25 bucks that they're charging out for Marvel Legends. But I got these on sale at Target recently. Pretty nice deal last week when I was picking some stuff up. So glad to get these and save a little bit of money, even though I'm a little bit late to the review on these here. Don't really mind that much. Saving some time with editing because I'm behind on reviews. Just putting both of these in the same video. I'll have proper timestamps, of course. We have the Legends series towards the top there for the packaging. Figures in the box, all the contents you see there. These cool graphics, whatever's going on, the printing in the back there. You see where it says Marvel and the characters' names there, as well as where it says the Hasbro logo. Top left, Marvel's Controller Build-A-Figure, and top right, you also have the warning ages 4 and up and all that. On this side, you get really nice artwork of both of these characters, which I miss because they really just use comic panels for the new packaging now, and these are actually like original, like for the packaging here, so that's really sick. And then on the top, just for Iron Man, you get that logo right there. These are a little dusty. I didn't realize that. Anyway, on the back here, I'm going to go ahead and take some images of some of the read-ups here. So here's Iron Man's right there if you want to pause and read that right now. And then here is Blue Marvel's if you want to pause and read that as well. All of that looking really good here. You see the illustrations as well as where it says Marvel Legends series. You do have the rest of the waves there. I think the next one I want to get is Thor, though. He looks really good. Multilingual warning starts at the bottom there. So here, I'm going to go ahead and show you the barcode for Iron Man if you want to screenshot that there, in case you need to find that at a store and look that up in the stock room. And then there is Blue Marvel's barcode. Let's go ahead and get both of these figures out of the packaging. Here are both figures out of the packaging. Pretty nice overall. They do have their fair share of problems, but I am glad that I paid what I did for these, which is cheaper than normal. Let's go ahead and take a look at Iron Man first, and then I would like to take a look at Blue Marvel. If you want to switch around to any figure at some point, I do have the chapter function down in the description. So this figure is the single packed figure in the wave. It does not come with the Build-A-Figure piece, but we get some pretty decent accessories. We have a pair of fists here. So the whole molding here is just mostly this bright red. They try to make it look metallic. It just looks a lot like candy red. I think the way that they did the metallic, I should say, it's not as bad here as they've done it worse before. So I'll give them a little bit of a pass. The panel lines on the back of the hand are pretty nicely sculpted. Knuckles on the thumb and even the top of the fingers, all that looks great. I wish they did paint the repulsor pieces. But I can see why they didn't. It could be a little bit hard to get in there. They even have a little bit of some panels on the palms as well. So all that looks pretty decent. We have two of these pieces here. So I have all these together and I'll show off why in a second. But we have a separate cloudy piece here for the thrusters, which is really nice. I don't think we've gotten this yet. Maybe the Riri Williams figure we did. I don't exactly remember, but there's some pretty nice sculpting. It's mostly this clear translucent plastic with a little bit of white in here, a little bit of just ever so slightly a little bit of smokiness in the plastic too. All the way, you have the base here, what would be the base, and then going all the way up here into the swirl. And the idea is you just you take this piece that we've gotten this before plenty of times, like this. It's just a yellow translucent plastic. They change up the colors a lot of the times. And this little, whatever this blast radius or whatever right there, it is different. It's a little bit more up and smaller than, the one in the blue. Never disliked the sculpt here, so that's nice, and it's mostly in this yellow translucent plastic. Again, we get two of these. The idea is you fit this through all here like so, like I have done right here, because not only is the, the yellow piece here, it's going to be used for the hands, but you put it all together, if I can do it correctly, and I think I may need to push it in a little bit more, but it gives you more of this smoky type of flying effect, and that's really cool. And then of course, again, you just pop this into one of the hands and the ports there, and it fits in there rather nicely. My biggest complaint is the lack of paint throughout the entire figure. I'm not saying that the sculpting is bad, of course, because it is pretty good in a lot of areas, but it really would have helped if they had a decent amount of paint on here. I've seen people online, similar to Gundams, they would panel line some of this. You know, if you have like a panel line pen, or even like put in a little bit of a wash, you know, you don't even need to make it look metallic. A little bit of like paint in the lines here, all that would have made it look nice. Of course, again, I think the actual metallic finish and paint on here, like what we've got with, you know, it's not perfect, but last year's modular Iron Man, look at that gold compared to what we got right now. I'm not a big fan of it. It chips a little bit, of course. That's unfortunate. But I just wish this was painted. It could. This is a little, you know, the paint on here is not great, but there is some paint here. But it's mostly molded, like right here, and you know where the elbows are, and on the thighs. It's all molded like that. So I just wish it had some better paint. But the actual sculpting is really good. I like this head sculpt a lot. They mostly, looks like they mixed and matched some plastic parts here, mostly like separate black eye pieces in here. The mouth does have some black paint in there that is pretty decent, clean enough. I think you'd have to look really hard to see if there's any paint imperfections. And the rest of it, I mean, the actual mask here, I like that design. That's a nice separate, but it's mostly molded in this color. It's like a nice separation here, and then of course this is separate sculpted mask, so you know they put on the rest of the helmet. And I just wish, again, this is the last time I'm going to say it, if it looked metallic, it would look better, unfortunately. The actual lines around the neck are also pretty good. I think the shoulder pads actually have some nice sculpting. They are on the soft plastic piece, but even then, moving these out, it's a little bit difficult, which we'll get to articulation later. And again, this is like one of the only few parts where there's actually gold painted on here, and that, you know, it does look pretty much the exact same as this. So I don't know if it's just, it could be better, you know. I'm not going to knock it too much. I don't want to, I should say, because of the price I paid. But if you paid full price, even like maybe a little bit more, because this is like not 25 bucks yet. This is still like 22, 23 bucks. But if you paid 25 bucks for it, that's kind of annoying, especially if it didn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece. The rest of that paint is pretty clean. You know, the separation where the gold with the red is on the inner arm, looking all nice. And then we do have a little bit of some sculpting in the elbows there. Now we get to down. I don't remember what these are for here. These look like repulsor pieces, but you know, these pieces around the forearm, all that has some really nice printing right there, looking like just almost like a white. And then you get to the hands. These are different sculpts than what we've gotten with, again, the modular Iron Man. Those look a little bit more round in some areas, whereas these are a little bit skinnier. The detailing on the actual fingers is pretty good. I do like how the torso is sculpted in the actual abs. All that I think looks great with like what, you know, muscles, I guess, you know, what would be the pecs. Just the way that they sculpted that armor, all that looks good. And even like these little pieces up here, the printing is really nice as well. Now, well, there wasn't a lot of paint on this figure to begin with, but not much going on in the back here. Just lots of panel lines, and mostly molded in this red color, very pretty bright red color. A little bit of that marbleization, like up here towards the back. That's like one of the very few spots I could see it. You gotta find it in the light a little bit in some points. And then you have these side pieces that also have some nice printing on there. Even some nice panel lines on the crotch area, which is kind of weird to say. But we do have some panel lines again in the thighs. Actually, the way they sculpted it is actually really nice. They are separate sculpts. It gives the illusion that they are going, like, they're protruding a little bit. I think it's mostly how they sculpted the hip right here, because they have a little bit of an indent going into the actual peg, and then it goes outward a little bit more when it meets to the thigh cut. But yeah, you can see a little bit how, like, there's like one over another, sort of, if I'm even explaining that right. It looks pretty nice. And then you have these molded gold pieces here. In some lighting, again, these actually don't look bad, I think, but like just looking at it in person and not through my camera's viewfinder, it doesn't look that good, if I'm being honest. They have a little bit of marbleized plastic right here, but these are a little bit, are these softer? They're kind of soft, not that much though. We do have the, well, first of all, what I forgot to mention is pinless tech in the arms, and then also in the knees. But because of that, which is what I was about to say, this looks a little bit of a lighter gold compared to darker gold, like right here, which that ends up happening a lot with the pinless tech lately. This is another instance where it's not that noticeable in person compared to on camera. So sometimes your eyes play tricks on you in the camera. I don't think it's that bad. You have these nice white printing pieces on the side of the boots with some panel lining all the way down there, all the way towards the top of the feet, looking really nice. Very like boxy, angular. Some nice angles going on here too. Kind of treading, but not really. But there is some detail on the bottom of the feet. Sometimes they just leave it plain. And of course, those peg holes there for the thruster pieces. So, looking on the back one more time, yeah, the actual sculpting I don't think is bad. It just would look better if it had actual paint apps. Another good thing about this figure is the articulation, even though it's a little bit hindered in some areas. First of all, we have a ball peg hinge, as you can see, but there's also a ball joint in the neck, so it allows for all this rotation like this, and you can get this far up like that. And then my head joint actually isn't that tight like I thought I was going. Actually, going down's a little bit difficult. The chin likes to get in the way of the neck's ball joint, so that's as far down as it goes. But swiveling and all this tilting, there's really no problem there. Arms, this one's rough. This one's better. Just by a little bit. These things are a good amount of trouble, unfortunately. But they go all the way around, no problem. Upper arm swivel, it's a little bit gummy here. We have double jointed elbows, a little bit tight because of the pinless tech, I should say. Swivel at the wrist, swivels a hinge at the wrist is for all sets of hands. I forgot to mention that this is a little bit angled. So, you know, that way it makes it look a little bit more natural for flying poses. That's basically what it looks like, relaxed like that. You have a ball jointed waist, you know, rotation like this, swiveling. Forward and back is actually, you know, the forward's not great, but the back is pretty decent. Legs could go, they could be a little bit better, but they're not bad. Back just a little bit. Splits are really good. We do have upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees. We actually have a swivel at the boot too, right here where the red meets the gold. Hinging up and down is really nice. We have these ratchet joints for the ankle rocker, which I wish they were more smooth and not on ratchets, because then you can actually control more how he's standing, but still, ankle rockers are pretty nice. So controller seems like a cool build a figure. I'm going to try to build it eventually, but just not right now. And Blue Marble does come with the left leg, as you see here, and this looks pretty nice. It looks like a little bit of shading on there. The overall sculpting is pretty good. You have the pinless tech that they've implemented on this build a figure piece. Nice, slightly metallic, shiny boots, which is the same type of method they use for like Iron Man. You can see a little bit of that pro-life stuff in there, but set that to the side for now. The figure comes with alternate hands. These are open hands that we get a lot of times with. I want to say a lot of times, if I don't drop it, it's a lot of what we get with like suit bodies. I just feel like the exact same hands here I've seen plenty of times on, you know, anything that has a suit, and if I could focus on it too. But they're just painted, not painted, they're molded in white. A little bit more of an open hand here, a little bit of a grasping hand that slightly has a trigger finger, but it's still rather sculpted with the rest of the hand there. That's what makes me think that it's the, you know, like the suit body hands, because they do that a lot with those particular characters on that body. We've gotten these hands plenty of times before. We've also gotten these effects pieces before, and I don't mind it entirely. They look really good in blue, honestly. Yes, I believe that we got these with Iron Fist, like one of the first times ever. Looking really nice. These are just effects pieces for when he's punching. Very nice translucent blue plastic. A little bit of darker blue. It looks a little bit more purplish towards the ends here and a little bit darker up here. So, decent amount. Well, I don't know what else it could have come with, but I guess for what the character can do, decent amount of accessories. First thing I want to talk about is the head sculpt. They've been implementing a lot of face printing this year on a lot of these figures, and you know, comic book figures, and I believe this is one of them. I really like what they've got going on with the face here. Really clean eyes. I think the lighting's getting in the way a little bit, so you can't see the eyes too well. I like how the eyebrows came out. A lot of like very subtle wrinkles around the eyes here, and on the around the eyebrows and around the cheeks. All that looks great. I'm really digging this head sculpt. This is really fantastic. I do think there could have been some paint variation going on in the hair. The overall sculpt is fine, but there's just no, it's just molded in black. They could have added like some kind of base coat of black maybe. Overall though, the rest of it just looks really good. And this is on the Spider UK body, if you're familiar with that by now. A lot of you are. There's the very subtle changes they have are different boots, the belt, of course the different paint apps, and they've added this like sleeveless jacket, and the sleeveless jacket looks really good. Lots of, I'm not sure if this is stitching or patterns or straps or something going on here, but these are sculpted on here, looking really nice. The white patches, whatever these are, just ever so slightly is off center on this one. This one's clean, that one looks clean, and that one looks clean. So pretty good paint there, but it's mostly molded in this white, lighter blue, I should say. Has a little bit of wrinkling. Again, I don't know if this is stitching or whatever this would be, but these patterns in here are looking really good. This collar too. I hope they I don't know. I don't know if they can implement this in future characters, but I might have to buy another one eventually because there's some really nice kit bashing parts in here. This jacket has potential, I think, at least. Most of the details you're gonna get is mostly just, you know, the basic sculpting of the muscles and stretching that we've had before. The biggest thing is that there's a little bit of paint variation. There's like a dark blue paint coming up here. Or actually, I think that's, I can't tell exactly what is painted. I think the dark blue is molded in that. The white is definitely painted on there. And I can't tell if the light blue is painted on or if this is molded like that, then that would be painted. Can't entirely tell. You can see some scratches and splotches there. I've knocked on Marvel Legends because of the windowless packaging being more susceptible to paint apps being bad, but because it's at a window box, I just missed the paint apps on the front here when I bought this. Yeah, so that's on me, buying that one. But also, I mean, it shouldn't be there to begin with. Again, could have found another one. I think there's like maybe one or two left, so maybe I was just more concerned with actually having it. The white on here is painted rather nice, besides this little part right here. You do get pins this time around. They haven't implemented the pinless tech on here yet, like they're going to do with Bear and Strucker coming out next year. But because it doesn't get in the way of the paint scheme, I'm fine with it for now. Of course, this is going to break up the paint detail when you move it around a little bit. Now, that was for me when I was moving these out, because that's just how the arms dig into sometimes. That's like my one problem with this body is how the shoulders just get dug into in every single one of these figures on this body for some reason. And then he comes packaged with the fist, as you can see. These are molded in white, and there's a little bit of blue painted on there. Actually, very clean. It's not super clean on the inside of the joint right there, unfortunately, where you see my thumbnail is. Again, really nice muscles and wrinkles sculpted into here around the waist as well. That's what the back of that looks like. And we have this new belt here. It's mostly molded in black, and we have a little bit of silver paint on the front there. All that looking really nice. Not much, there's no paint at all, actually, when it comes to like down here. It's all molded. Actually, I don't know what I think it's different types of plastic. This is more matte looking, and the hips are a little bit shinier. It's not that easy to see on the camera, but in person it's more visible. So I don't really know what's going on there, but these are definitely not painted. If you just feel them, you can feel that this is painted. You can feel paint on a figure, and you can feel when something is molded in a color. This is definitely not really painted. That's not to say it's a bad thing. The overall muscles look fine. I don't know, maybe a little bit of shading could have been fine in the muscles, but it's always had some pretty nice muscles sculpted in there, as well as some wrinkles too. A little bit of wrinkles in the butt as well. Then we get down to wrinkles towards the calves. The boots, I think, look really good. I would love to use these again for another figure, like a custom. So that's why I want to eventually get another one for a cheaper price to use it for kit bashing and customizing. And the front of the laces, all that looks nice. There's no paint on there, but sculpting, actually it could be a tiny bit better, but you could definitely tell that these are supposed to be tied laces in large, you know, shin high boots. So a little bit of like stitching on like what would be, not really patches, but there's definitely stitching around here, so that's cool. The top of the boots looking really nice. And then you do have the bottom here with a little bit of treading. So, you know, it could have better paint. There's not much additional sculpting to this figure beyond you know, the additional body, besides new boots. Again, new paint apps and all that. Jacket piece is really nice, and the head sculpt is amazing. Another basic amount of articulation for this figure. Head goes up, down. It's on a ball hinge, so it swivels. It does not have the, you know, ball joints that they've been implementing with a lot of new Marvel Legends, but it's fine on this figure. Arms go all the way around. And be careful digging these in, but they go out pretty decently, actually. Upper arm swivel. The gumminess of the arms actually isn't that bad here, so that's good. Double jointed elbows, swivel at the wrist, and a hinge at the wrist for all sets of hands. I feel like the hands might just be a tiny bit too big, just ever so slightly too big. Forward like that, back like that, even with that soft plastic piece kind of getting in the way. Do get a waist twist. Legs go forward pretty nicely. Back could be better. The splits aren't amazing. Upper thigh swivel is decent. We do have double jointed knees. Looks like the bottom one doesn't want to move that much for some reason. Swivel at the actual boot there, so that's nice. Up and down. You get up and down, and then you also get the ankle rocker. Before we get to the size comparisons, let's measure really quick. We're looking at a little bit over 17.5 centimeters, I think. Iron Man's a little bit taller than Blue Marvel, so that makes Iron Man, I think, close to 6 3/4 inches, whereas Blue Marvel is like 6.5 inches. They're, again, really close in scale with each other. Over on the far left, that's the, I believe, Alex Ross Captain America from 2018, the 80th anniversary stuff. Far right, we have this year's Black Suit Spider-Man. You can see how all these figures scale well with each other. Overall, I do like these figures. I think that Hasbro did a pretty decent job. I just wish it was a little bit better for the prices we're going to be starting to pay for Marvel Legends. Iron Man's biggest problem is the lack of paint. It does have, you know, the chest pieces as well as the arms and hips, actually, that do have that nice white printing on there. A little bit of paint in the mouth and a little bit of gold on the biceps, but if we got decent gold on the modular armor Iron Man last year, we should get it here. It just looks a little too plastic-like in this figure. The overall sculpting is fantastic, though, and the articulation besides the shoulders are great. By the way, don't leave the shoulders out too much sticking out, because then you will warp the shoulder pads. But the accessories that the figure comes with are also really cool. I like that you could double the repulsor blasts as flame effects pieces as well, with those smoke pieces, too. Really digging that. So it's not horrible, but I do wish the Iron Man was a little bit better. With Blue Marvel, I think the paint, besides a little bit of scuffing on the chest, is pretty good where there is paint, especially the head sculpt. I really, really like the head sculpt. I think they did a great job with not only paint applications, but sculpting overall. But can't get past the fact that it's just the same old Spider UK body we've gotten before, with very little alterations besides a new belt, new boots, which are nice, and the jacket, which also has really nice custom potential that you can use in the future. I do dig that jacket. Not bad figures. I just wish they could be a little bit better. I got mine from Target, and I got a decent price on them. I'll leave links down in the description below where you can get these. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figures, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share, mix your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.